When it comes to being a dog owner, you either love or hate taking your furry friend out for a stroll. The rainy and cold days are even less desirable for most to get out to walk man's best friend. However, when you glance down at your furry baby and see the love and happiness on his or her face, well, there is no greater feeling. Of course, for Sally Watkinson, she loved taking her pups out in the Australian terrain to let them get exercise, fresh air, and burn off pent-up energy. She had no idea that she would soon find something strange had attached itself to one of her fur babies, which would result in a frantic race to the closest animal hospital. When it comes to picking out your fur-eyed friend, you want one that suits your personality. That's why Sally was drawn to poolies. Hugo and Kato, 3 adorable poolies. Poolies have a playful personality and loving disposition, which is probably why the Melbourne, Australia native picked these lovable dogs to add to her family. She wanted dogs that would be great for adventures as well as snuggle time. When it came to picking out her dog, Sally knew she could have any breed she wanted. It could have been a toy poodle or some other designer breed, but nope, she picked the Poolie. Many people searching for a pet can throw serious money at a designer dog. Some people shell out thousands to get the perfect breed for their family and home. And others want that perfect pooch to be camera ready for social media. But Sally wasn't interested in any of the hype those other dogs offered. Nope, she wanted something entirely different. One of the main traits that poolies have is their unique style of hair. These dogs look like they are a matted mess with their tightly curled dreadlocks flying about. However, these Hungarian sheepdogs may look rough on the outside, but are super sweet and affectionate creatures. Yet, aside from their sweet disposition, they are very active dogs, which meant they need a lot of exercise. Many people know the stress of having one puppy in the house, but for Sally, she loved the challenge. That is why she didn't just have one of these dreadlock pooches, but 2. With their high energy, Sally realized she needed to stay on top of their health, which meant daily walks to help them burn off some of their energy. She made sure she never skipped a walk so they could stretch their legs and get some wholesome outdoor time. During one of Sally's walks with her dogs, things didn't go as planned. In fact, the events took a rather strange turn that caused Sally to wonder what was going on. Usually, when Sally plays with her fur babies, she often finds that they return with sticks or balls. However, one morning, one of her beloved pups returned with something unusual. As Sally studied it, she discovered her Poolie brought back something with 4 legs and a pulse. The closer Sally got, the more she realized that a small creature had attached itself to one of her pups. Although the creature was no bigger than a toy animal, something about it still caused Sally to freak out. Not knowing what the creature was that had attached itself to Kato's fur, Sally was afraid to touch it. She didn't know if it was a squirrel, a rat, or something far more sinister. Sally decided to check out the furry creature attached to her Poolie's coat. What she found astonished her. A tiny baby possum had latched itself to the Poolie's coat. You may have thought that a dog like Poolie would have ripped the possum to shreds when it first encountered it. However, the dog's gentle nature and furry coat served as a safe haven for the frightened little newborn possum. Typically in nature, when a possum is this young, it latches onto its mother for safety and warmth. Even after the baby possums are no longer feeding off of the mom, they still cling to her for safety reasons. It's only after the possums have gotten big enough do they drop off and start living on their own. But for some reason, the possum Kato found was different. The newborn possum that was attached to Kato's back may have fallen from its mother too early. Or maybe something happened to the mother that caused the possum to leave. Whatever the reason for the baby to be missing from its mother, it seemed to have found a new home on Kato's back. The baby possum latched onto Kato, possibly hoping the larger dog would care for it like its mother did before. Or maybe it just wanted to feel safe again. For anyone with a dog, you know how wild they can be when something new comes around. Oftentimes, their excitement gets them worked up into a frenzy, and seeing as how the possums smell differently, the chances were that Sally's dogs were about to go nuts. After all, possums and dogs don't usually make good friends. More chances than not, dogs chase possums off or at least bark obsessively at them. But introductions for this possum were different from what Sally expected. She knew that if Cato didn't realize he had something on him, Hugo certainly would eventually. When Hugo and Cato finally caught on that something was different, Sally braced herself. She didn't expect her poolies to react in the way that they did. In fact, when the dogs finally realized that there was something on one of them, they completely ignored it. That's right, instead of getting worked up and barking madly at the small helpless creature, the dogs didn't care. Both the poolies turned their attention somewhere else. According to Sally, Hugo and Cato not only didn't care what was there, but they both seemed to gloss over it. It seems that small baby possum knew exactly what it was doing when it latched onto the poolie. It knew the dog wouldn't hurt it and that it would be safe on the fur of the pup. As cute as the scene was to Sally, she knew she needed to find help for the baby possum. After all, there was a reason the creature picked her dog to latch onto, and if the baby possum didn't get help soon, it wouldn't make it. So, Sally did what needed to be done to save the possum's life. She knew her dog wouldn't be able to help the poor little guy, and certainly didn't have the tools to help it. Sally did the only thing she could think of to save the baby possum's life. Sally picked up her phone and called her local animal rescue. She believed that if anyone knew how to take care of a baby possum, it would be them. But getting the baby possum to the shelter seemed a bit tricky. After all, the creature wasn't letting go, and if Cato sat down in the car, chances were the dog would squish the possum. So, how was Sally going to get the creature off her dog? The animal rescue couldn't make it to Sally's place, and the animal needed help badly. The only way Sally could get the possum safely to the animal shelter was by walking. Sally leashed up her pooch, and together they headed off to the animal shelter. As they walked, the baby possum clung to the dog for dear life, but Cato and Hugo strolled down the street, and eventually they reached the shelter. When a possum clings to something, it really clings to it. For the baby possum attached to Cato, it was so tired that it had no choice but to let go. Carefully, the rescue worker was able to get the possum off Cato and snuggled safely in the worker's arms. Granted, the possum was exhausted, Sally believed that it would pull through and be just fine in the hands of the animal shelter. Sally wrote on her Facebook page about the incident, explaining how she believes the possum will make it, how she got there just in time. Sally went on to say how she believed the animal wasn't quite ready to be weaned from the mother, yet it was clever enough to latch on to another creature. Luckily, that adoptive mother was one of Sally's poolies. While one chapter of the story ends and all seemed well with the possum, it was just the beginning for Sally. Sally left her pups at a friend's out one day, and when she went to retrieve them, she found yet another possum attached to Cato. It seemed that Cato was a magnet for these sweet little creatures. For Sally to find yet another possum latched on to her Cato was remarkable. Clearly there was something going on and the mother wasn't around. But according to Sally, Cato wasn't as happy to have this little guy on him this time around. In fact, this little possum started to annoy and irritate Cato. It could have been due to the baby possum digging into Cato's fur more than the other one. But still, the pups ignored the hitchhikers. As for the vets, they got an absolute kick out of it. It's very possible that the two possums were related, and that something happened to the mother for them to fall off so soon. According to Sally, she really hopes that the babies can be reunited with their mother. But the question is, where was she? Sally asked the animal shelter to keep an eye out for her. If Sally Watkinson lived in the United States and not in Australia, she most likely would have reached out to Dallas Dog RRR. Dallas Dog RRR is a dedicated shelter that goes above and beyond to help abandoned or stranded animals. Dallas Dog RRR doesn't discriminate on the animal in need. They help them all. The rescuers at the Dog RRR ensure that no animal is left behind and plenty of animals have come through their doors, including one particular dog named Pitty. One lonesome night on the harsh streets of Dallas, the Dog RRR spotted a pit bull wandering around the dangerous road. To the rescuers' amazement, the pit bull managed to steer clear of the traffic whizzing by. Seeing a pup in need, the Dallas Dog RRR didn't hesitate to pick up the pup and try to help it out. But this was no ordinary pup. This pit bull was something quite extraordinary. The half-starved pit bull looked weak, and so the kind-hearted rescuers did the first thing they thought of to help the dog out. They gave it food. The rescuers filled up a big bowl and placed the chow before the pit bull. Sure enough, the dog dug right into the food without hesitation. By the looks of the poor thing, it had been alone for some time. But the question was, how long, and when was the last time she ate? Clearly, starvation was just one of the many problems this pit bull faced. As the rescue workers continued to evacuate the pit bull, they noticed several things were different about it. First, there was a nasty scratch that needed to be tended to. But the scratch just led to more questions the rescuers had about the dog. They wondered where she came from and what happened to her family. Clearly, there must have been someone out there missing her. According to the rescuers, the pit bull also appeared to have just had puppies. Chances were that the pups were taken from the mother, but where did they go? It's sad to think that this poor pit bull was only a mother for such a short time before her pups were taken. Or perhaps she weaned them and they were off in different homes. But as the rescuers tried to figure out more about the pit, they would find more startling news. The rescuers wanted to know a little more about the mommy pit and started looking around the area they found her. Turns out, the pit lived in a junkyard and was spotted by a worker there. But when the rescue workers spoke with the junkyard man, he told them even more astonishing news. Turns out, the pit bull kept coming back to one particular spot in the back. When the rescuers got to the back of the junkyard, they found something unexpected. In the back of the junkyard, to everyone's amazement, they found a little ball of fur. No, it wasn't the pit bull's puppies. Nestled in a small patch of dirt, tucked away near some shade, they found an adorable kitten. At just a few days old, the tiny kitten was left by its mother. And lo and behold, the mother pit found it at the right time. Unfortunately though, in nature, cats abandon their babies for a reason. Chances were this little ball of fur had some serious health issues. No doubt, the mother pit bull found a release for her untapped motherly instincts once she found the baby kitten. It seems that the pit knew exactly what to do to take care of it. The moment the pit bull saw the young kitten, it started licking and cleaning it. But the mommy pit bull did a lot more to take care of the kitten. Due to the pit bull having just had puppies herself without any pups to feed, she had plenty of milk for the days-old kitten. But the rescuers didn't know how long the pit had been caring for the baby. It turned out both the pit bull and the kitten found each other just when they needed each other the most. Understandably, the rescuers were amazed by the connection between the odd pair. The rescue workers immediately brought both the pit bull and the kitten to Dallas Animal Clinic to get them checked out. Everyone wanted to make sure these little guys were doing okay, despite being on the streets for so long. The vet, Dr. Rick Hamlin, was astonished by the pairing of a pit bull and a frail, newborn kitten. He stated how over his 28 years, he had never seen such a thing before. As the good doctor looked over the animals, he speculated how the two came to be. In his mind, he could see the pit bull was missing her pups. Either the pups passed away or they had been weaned off her, but she still had milk. Of course, having leftover milk was great for the baby kitten. According to the doctor, chances were that the pit bull found the kitten and tried to help it out. It was a win-win for both of them. Another stroke of luck for the pit bull and the kitten came just at the right time. According to the doctor, the rescuers' timing was nearly perfect to saving the kitten's life. The doctor stated how the pit bull wouldn't have been able to care for the newborn kitten for very much longer, seeing as the milk was drying up. The poor kitten wouldn't have had very much time left once that happened, so when the rescuers found them, it was nearly a miracle. It's no surprise that both the pit bull and the kitten stole the hearts of all who heard their story. The remarkable tale of helping each other out and bonding in such a way is remarkable. Unfortunately though, the poor kitten needed a lot of attention, and with the clinical staff pressed for time, they needed to work fast. The staff at the clinic was able to find a home for the kitten to give it the care it needed, but that would mean the adoptive pit mother would have to stay back. Just as a normal mother would be frantic about being separated from their children, the pit bull hated being separated from the kitten. To her, the kitten was her baby. According to the doctor, the pit bull howled and moaned for her baby as the doctor and staff tried to take care of it. It was also the first time the pit bull made any sound since coming to the clinic. Fortunately, the two weren't apart for very long. When the poor baby kitten returned to the clinic the following morning, Pitty, as the clinic started calling the dog, licked and cleaned her. It was clear Pitty missed her little baby. As the clinic staff saw the connection between the two animals, it was clear they would need to be adopted together. There was no way anyone could separate them. Their bond was just too tight. Unfortunately though, fate had other plans for these two. While the doctor did everything he could to help the kitten when she first came in, there was one thing he overlooked. It seemed the kitten had severe medical issues. The kitten's bladder and kidneys did not function properly, which explains why her mother abandoned her. But despite the good doctor's best efforts, he couldn't save the kitten. The baby kitten passed away before the staff at the clinic could find a home for her and her adoptive mother. It was unknown how Pitty took the situation, but chances are the pit bull noticed the kitten's absence. Now, all that was left was to find Pitty a home and hope that her poor heart got mended over time. Eventually, Pitty found a home. Although she didn't have her baby kitten with her, she managed to find a place that was loving and kind. Plus, she had all the food she could ever need, and her new home also had a few other dogs, making Pitty's life more complete. The story of Pitty and her kitten touched the hearts of all who heard about it. It is one of those stories that impresses and inspires. While they didn't have much time together, it just goes to show how love can transcend all obstacles.